Hi, this is Dan, the Realty Man, coming to you from beautiful Ocala, Florida, and I hope you are doing well. Well, we are in the last month of the year so far, and we're going to take a look and see what has happened as far as the villas are concerned on top of the world, and we're going to get some information on that. And I think you're going to be a little surprised at the information I have to share with you this month. And remember, if you stick with me to the end of the video, I'm going to show you what units sold for the least amount of money and what sold for the most amount of money. So let's get into the numbers here and let's see what's happening in the real estate market for the villas on top of the world. Now, as we go into the information over here, you see something a little surprising. When you look at last year's average listing price, last year's average listing price was $160,000 as opposed to $170,000 last month. Well, everybody might say, well, Dan, that looks like prices are going up. Well, that might look that way, but if you look at the average square footage last year as compared to the average square footage that sold last month, you'll see that the difference in the square footage offsets for that $10,000 increase over here. So square footage wise, we're just about the same as what we were last year. But what surprisingly is the average days on the market right now for active listings are 64. If we go into the pending contracts right now, there's 11 units that are pending. So that's good news. And the average price on there is $189,936. But then once again, you have a larger square footage over there, a little over 1,500. Now, those units were on the market for an average of 71 days before they went under contract. We don't know if they'll all go through, and we don't know what the sold prices are, but at least it's a good indication of properties that are pending. When we look at the solds, now the solds tell the true story here. There's 8 units that sold this November. And it's not unusual for the units to drop down as far as how many sold when we get into this time of the year. But notice last year there were 13 units, so less units sold this year than last year. But notice the average selling price. The average selling price is over $13,000 higher than last year. But once again, when you figure in the square footage, it comes roughly to about the same as what it was last year. And it took 67 days for those properties to go under contract. Now, if we look at the course of the whole year, from January 1st to November 30th, there's 130 units that sold in your location there for the villas. But when we look at how many units that have sold right now, as to how many that are on the market, you have an 8-month absorption rate. So 8 months tends to lean a little bit more towards a buyer-friendly market, but that's what you have as far as that's concerned there. Now, would you like some information on a specific unit? You can always get in contact with me, ask me about it. I'm here to help you out with that. And then too, I do a market report for single family homes over on top of the world, and for the whole Ocala market, I do one too. So if you want to take a look at those, feel free to do so. If you're thinking about selling and like your property to be promoted, excuse me, in over 200 websites, give me a call. I can help you out. Or if you know somebody that's looking to purchase, I can help them out as well to make a good solid purchase out there. Now let's take a look at the lowest and the highest priced units that have sold. Notice here the lowest price unit was listed for $80,000 and it sold for $80,000 after 8 days on the market. But notice this, it was a cash only deal. When you look at the pictures that were in there, that unit really needed to be updated and needed work in there. So it was a unit that really needed a lot of help. So that's why they got the price on that one. But now, if we take a look at the highest priced unit, notice the highest priced unit that sold was 1541 square foot. It was listed at 237.5 and it sold for 218,000. It was a very nice unit in there. Really, nothing really needed to be done. Had a nice enclosure in the back as well. So we look at this, and this is what the price was for a unit that was in good condition. Well, anyway, this is Dan, the Realty Man, wishing you well, hoping you found this information informative. Please feel free to share it with others. And hey, let's be safe and let's make this last month a great one. And I look forward to talking to you next year. Bye now.